Hi, everyone. Just waiting for Angela to join. I'll just check on this phone if she's okay. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, just say Angela. Oh, this is good. Normally, when I try and blur my background, it doesn't work. Oh, I'm very excited. Okay, I hope everybody is good. Um, I'm just today I've got my stuff a little bit more together. So I have two phones so that if anything, there is still another one. And also, if anybody sends me a message, then I won't miss them because I did miss a few people the other time. So I'm very, very grateful. And while we're waiting for Angela, I'm just having a quick look on social media just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Angela, if you're already here with a different sign in, do let me know just in case. I'm looking out for you, but maybe you're actually already on. And there's Joe. Just checking. Okay. So I might just actually just give Angela a quick call just in case she's having a little bit of trouble jumping onto this. I've admitted everyone. So thank you everyone for jumping on time and everything. Thank you so much. Angela. So tonight, what we're going to do, normally I'm just kind of like giving a talking head. But we felt, well, be interesting to switch it up a little bit, do something a little bit different. So we're doing it in an interview format. And I'm quite excited because we haven't practiced anything, but Angela is actually, there she is. Excellent. Hi, Angela. I can't hear you, but I don't know if
Yeah, I
others
didn't put
can
my
hear.
voice on. I did...
All right.
Hi, how you doing?
I am good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, very much so. Nice and hot.
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to make you a co-host, and then
Uh-huh.
that way, if anything happens, and let's say my internet cuts out, it will carry on with your internet and the same vice versa. So it just gives
Cool.
us a little bit more opportunities for everything. So
Cool.
yes, I'd like to welcome everyone. And I was saying that this is quite exciting and different because we haven't even practiced this.
No, we haven't.
No,
This
we
is
haven't even.
literally off the cuff.
Yes. But it's just
Uh,
yeah, it's just really, really nice. It's something a bit different. I was just saying a little bit about I know you from being a client, and it's like you're turning into a client friend. We're kind of like mates now. So
Surely.
it's yeah, and
Mhm.
I have to say it happens a lot in my work, which makes it really, really nice. So I met Angela actually at it was like a
The
Pan-African event. Yeah. Do you
Mapongo,
remember the name?
Mapongo, I think it was the
Yes,
tour.
yeah,
They're doing the
yeah,
tour. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, King
Uh-huh.
Mapongo, and there was that woman king, and there
Yeah.
was also Professor
Professor
James
Small.
Smalls. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which was absolutely fantastic
Yeah.
event. And since then, you've come down to London and have done medicine with me 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so and yeah, decided I just it came out of the blue to ask Angela to actually interview me. And I actually thought she was going to say no because she's never expressed an interest in anything like that before. But she actually
Yeah.
said yes, which is
Okay.
absolutely brilliant. So I'm really
Yeah.
pleased. Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
over to you, Angela.
So, hi, good evening to everyone. And my name is Angela, and I basically, my whole interest is in bioresidence. So, one might ask what bioresidence is. It's basically a device that measures or detects what imbalances there is in the body. And so I advise as to, the best way to bring the healing modalities within oneself as such. And yeah, it's been a lovely journey. And I'm still exploring and I'm doing, I'm adding more string to my bows, as they say, on the healing side of things, and hence the regards to the medicine as well to help one's life purpose. Because sometimes you might find um, you can get lost in the flurry of things. So it's all about, you know, learning about yourself and making the true discovery about uncovering the true powers you have within yourself as well. So I'm here to interview AKUA Ofo and
Yep,
she's
well
going to
done.
take you on her life journey in regards to this medicine and how it's has basically open up her eyes and enlighten her journey in what she's doing. So over to you, Akua.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and yeah, so as most of you here would know, or maybe you don't even know, my name is AKUA OFOSUHENE, and I am a plant medicine guide. I work with magic mushrooms, but I also work with ayahuasca. And in Ghana, I work with ayahuasca only. Um, because ayahuasca is legal in Ghana, so that makes it, really easy. I don't have to worry about authorities come knocking on my door. Um, and I began working with the mushrooms, but I was told quite early on that I would work with ayahuasca. It was a message that came, but at that time, I didn't have the resources or even the inclination to go to South America where ayahuasca, the capi vine, and the chacruna leaves are grown. Um, and so I didn't do anything about it. It was just kind of like, well, that was a nice trip, and we'll just see what happens. And a whole bunch of medicines were all shown that I would work with them, but it was like the first one in the list was ayahuasca. And 2 years ago, we lost my mum just literally the day before the last time we did African spiritual practices, which of course is coming up, the first one in 2 years on Saturday. And when I went to Ghana to do her funeral, I decided to go to the farm that my iboga, which was the first plant medicine that I did, which I know we'll talk about. I went to the farm to just pay homage and say thank you to the mother plant of the iboga that I had. And then I found out that that farm was not only growing iboga, but it was also growing the capi vine and chacruna leaves that you use to make ayahuasca. I was very excited, of course, and I was able to buy some, and I was able to brew my first ayahuasca brew, and I haven't turned back. So I always say, when you get a message from the medicine, you really, really, really don't have to turn your life around straight away. You can really just integrate that message, and watch when that bit of information will flow into your life.
Hmm. Okay. So in regards to for a person who has just heard about your life journey in regards to the medicine, what would you say to basically learn for them to understand and learn a bit more about it, and how would it be helping those people who are new?
Yeah. I mean, so with psychedelics, there are a whole group of medicines that, so scientifically, what they will say about psychedelics is that you've got these whole group of medicines. Some are natural plants and some of them are synthesized. And what they seem to do, which they now know because they've looked at people's brains while they're on psychedelics, and what they found is that when the brain is on psychedelics, it seems like all parts of the brain get involved in a question, or what's going on. Before, they thought the centers of the brain that are to do with dreams, they thought that's what was going to be really activated. But what they actually found was that the amygdala, which is where fear and everything is held, is kind of not that activated. The rest of the brain is activated, and it's going to all parts of the brain. So that's kind of what's happening scientifically. Most psychedelics also reduce inflammation, which can account for the fact that they're good for depression, and even Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and all of those things have all been shown to be improved. But the interesting thing, more for, well, I was going to say Western audience, but now actually drug addiction is spreading throughout the world, is what they also seem to do is kind of clean the brain receptors to a certain level, especially something like iboga from Gabon originally, but also being grown in Ghana, and I'm sure in other tropical places. But iboga especially cleans the brain receptors that usually gets attached to alcohol, to cocaine, to heroin. It literally cleans them to pre you starting to use that drug state. So, what we know about these psychedelics, with experiments that have been done right from the 20s and 30s and 40s up until they were banned in the late 60s when you had the war on drugs, they'd already been shown to be really effective against a whole range of mental disorders like depression, bipolar. There are even some research into psychedelics and schizophrenia, but all of that was stopped. And so, unfortunately, it's been really hard to go back into that. And nowadays, even though psychedelics are a bit more accepted, and pretty much all the universities that also have a medical arm are all doing research into psychedelics because they know they can make the next load of drugs for depression, because depression is growing, addiction is growing. So the pharmaceuticals are jumping on board to be able to create pills from psychedelics. We're not that far away. And what's interesting, a friend of mine who's a scientist works for a company, and what they've been doing with their trials is they've been not having so much integration afterwards. So with the first lot of trials, they had like 3 month long integration of the experience afterwards. And then it got reduced to two, and then it got reduced to 1 month. And now she's saying that when they're doing the experiments, they're only giving people one session with a therapist afterwards, because they're heading towards
Mm,
making a pill, and they always want a
yeah,
pill that you will come back and take another pill. So
I
we just
see.
we're knowledge we have now, we just need to put that into our culture, our family culture, so we understand how these medicines really work and not get
Yeah.
lost in 20 years' time when they just turn them into another pill.
Sounds like Limitless, isn't it?
A little
The pill
bit.
that they use. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
little. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So in regards to introduction for someone again who is wanting to find answers, wanting to understand about psychedelics, what is your take on it in regards to a person wanting to, basically explore, not just to explore, but find answers in
Mm,
their life when they're having situations occurring? How would you how would you then introduce or suggest in
mm,
regards
mm.
to helping the client, the person?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you can take any problem to psychedelics. So, I mean, the most common situations most people bring to me are um, depression, some kind of level of depression, low level or high level, or, just some kind of I'm not quite happy situation. Worry is something a lot of people bring to the medicine, is just kind of knowing that actually they live with a lot of worry in their life and a certain amount of anxiety. Um, what am I meant to do? Is this what I'm meant to do? Am I meant to do something else? What is mine to do on in this life that I'm living? Because there's a
Yeah,
general dissatisfaction. So that's a reason to come to the medicine. Um, and then, of course, family relationships, childhood trauma. These things happened in the past, but I can't let them go. I want to let them go. Or there's the I forgive them, but I can't forget, and I want to just be able to move on. I want to have relationships that are not informed by the things that happened to me in my childhood or in my early love relationships. So those are really the things. And I think maybe a thing that's made up of a little bit of all of those things is just a kind of, I mean, I remember this for myself when I really came to the medicine, was just kind of feeling like I need to be more than I am, like that kind of feeling of, no, there was a time when I was living my potential. And now it just feels like life has weighed me down. And I used to describe it to my sister that I felt like a computer that needed to be defragged. It needed the program, I needed a new program, but it felt like the whole system needed an overhaul. And I think that's very often also another thing that people, as we reach midlife, and
mm,
that feeling can be anywhere from 27 to 60. That feeling of, man, I used to be able to just rise above certain things, but now they're pulling me
there's a
down. So
glitch.
those are
Yeah.
all the things that can bring somebody to the medicine. And the medicine can help in all of those things as well.
Okay. And in regards to, how did ayahuasca came about?
In my life or just in general.
Or in general, where did it all start? What was the
Yeah.
whole process of all of this, or
Well,
purpose?
yeah, I mean, the thing with ayahuasca is it's very, very interesting because all the tribes who in South America, in the Amazon, the different tribes that have used it traditionally all have slightly different origin stories. So one of the origin stories that I really like is that there was this girl, she lived by a water source, and she just could feel the essence, if you like, of the capi vine. And so she would show reverence to the capi vine, and she would sing to it, and she would kind of go and talk to it. And then one day the capi vine talked back to her and said, look, I have a secret. I have a gift to give you and your people. if you go and pick those leaves over there and cut some of me down and boil and boil and boil and boil and boil, and you drink, I'll be able to speak to you properly, and I will open the doors for you to speak to all of creation.
Wow.
So that's one creation story. And then another creation story that I also really like was that there was a shaman who was really, really advanced. And he realized that he was about to die. You know, he was really old and there was no one to take his place. So he decided that before he would die, he would just go and sit somewhere and turn himself into a new, turn himself basically into a plant where his wisdom could carry on long after he had died. And apparently, he sat down in his place and he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't talk. He slowly died. He turned into the vine. And
Wow.
he told them how he could be used, and they used it, and the wisdom that he had still carried on. Um, what I love about both of those stories is I think they point to something that I definitely discovered while I was in Ghana and working with a lot more herbalists and also training to get my herbalism certificate in Ghana was learning that plant, human, and I think science-wise they call it interspecies communication. But for for herbalists in Ghana, this kind of interspecies communication is completely considered as normal. Completely considered as normal. It's considered
Mm.
as so normal that when I was going around trying to find out if we had indigenous psychedelic plants, and the only way I could find to describe what psychedelics were in tree was to say plants that give you visions, plants that give you pictures. And people were telling me, but all plants give you pictures, all plants talk to you. And this went on for healer after healer until
Mm.
finally I had someone who was, I suppose, very westernized as well as very in the traditional medicine. And
Yeah.
it was two people who were able to explain to me that in Ghanaian herbalism and for as much as they knew in West African herbalism, but I think is pretty international, you have your plant family as well. Everybody has their plant family. So some people, their plant family are the family of roses, and they can have that interspecies communication with roses, and they don't necessarily have to do a dieta, which is what you do in the South American tradition. You'll do a dieta where you're only consuming a particular plant and very, very simple food, if any food at all, for a long time to hear the subtle energies of that plant. In the Ghana tradition, it's it can be that strict depending on the other spirits on your head and how they work with you with the plants. But for a lot of people, it's not that strict. It's a period of time of training, and then the plant will make contact with you, and then that person will know how to do, I suppose, an equivalent of a dieta with that plant to get that interspecies communication. So, did I answer your question? I went off on a
Yes.
tangent.
No, you did. In the aspect of understanding where it all came from and the history. It's
Mm,
basically talking about the history, because most
mm.
people be taking these, doing these ceremonies or sessions, and hear a little of it, but not know the origins, if you want to, so to
Yeah,
speak,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah,
they, because you want to understand a lot more about, the plant, and also the association with it,
yeah,
communicating with it, because it's like part of you once you start to ingest it and utilize those and have those sessions as well.
yeah,
There's
definitely.
many people's experience. So as a teacher and doing these session or ceremony with people, what are the experiences that you've encountered that makes you feel, what should I say, happy, in the sense of, knowing that you're doing this right thing, that's
Yeah,
helping someone?
yeah. I think I mean, I think like a lot of people on here kind of know my story that the first medicine was because my son had been groomed into county lines drug dealing. So I was using the medicine to become the parent who could deal with that story in their life. So I
Mm.
suppose the first place in which the medicine made me happy was from the very first one from Iboga, because I saw the difference in my capabilities kind of straight away. And they also helped me to just see the broader strings of life. You know, it was like, yes, I went in originally, I want the courage or the whatever to get my son out of this. And then I just learned how everything feeds into everything else. Like the first time I spoke at Breaking Convention, I talked about just seeing if we like, white dominance in such a different way, and also seeing how I was also what part I played in that in my life in terms of fears, you know, like and that was really, that was something I wasn't, you know, it wasn't in an intention, but it was one of the things that I learned, was just how much I carried the story of racism in my body into every encounter. So the medicine helped me be able to continually get rid of that from my body, so that I actually wasn't walking through the world with just so many wounds and so many
Mm.
fears and so
Mm.
many prejudgments. And I wouldn't even say I'm at the end of that bit of story, because what I realize is society's society's preconceptions affects us all, even when you're considered to be in the victim class, whether that's to do with your race or to do with your sex or to do with being an outsider in any way at all. Just because you belong to the section of community that is oppressed, it doesn't mean that you're also not part of the oppressing force. And you can
Mm.
do that to yourself through fear. And you can also do that to others when you have power. And I think for me, that was one of the biggest liberating things. I had no idea the medicine was going to teach me and show me. And a story that I've said, you know, often is sitting in a case conference with a table full of people. And we used to have these monthly case conferences. And one time after working with mushrooms or something, when I went in the room, I didn't even realize that anytime I was in that room and I was talking, I was so desperate for, there was about two or three police who I could always tell could not be bothered. And when I
Wow.
sat down, I suddenly realized you're always talking to them and they can't be bothered. They don't see you. But there are like eight, nine people who do see you. Talk to them. And it was
Yeah.
so interesting because once I started talking to them and not trying to get these other people to see my humanity, my needs, oh my God, the way how things changed. I had police ringing me up, telling me things they weren't supposed to tell me. Social services were telling me stuff they weren't supposed to tell me. I was able to build real allies once I stopped talking to those people. And then it was really interesting. I don't even know what happened to those people. I think they stopped coming to the meetings. You know, it was just so, it's kind of like, for me, working with the medicines has been really interesting because I'm going in with a problem that's this wide. And then the longer I'm working on it, I'm seeing that the solution to that problem affects so many other things. So in my
Isn't it?
own life, that's one of the things that make me happy. But I think in my clients' lives, what really, really makes me happy is when someone is brave enough to go to the medicine when life is at the pits.
Yeah.
Like life is at the pits, and they are honest enough to not wait until they're feeling a bit better. And
Mm.
they're just kind of like, you know what, I'm really, this is bad. I'm not sure if I can hold on, you know, and they're brave enough at that point to go to the medicine. And that always makes me happy because that's when massive shifts really, really happen. Because how the medicine is let's say you're running on too much fuel, you're going fast, 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 fast. When you take the medicine, because it's always trying to bring you to your equilibrium, if you take it when you are going at your fastest peak, it will bring you right down.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you wait until you're not going as fast and you take the medicine, yes, it'll bring you down, but there's some information that's you're not going to get to because that was at your peak. So I'm a worrier. I always think I'm not a worrier. I really delude myself that I don't worry, but I worry about things.
Yeah.
And I love, and even I find it really hard to go in at the height of my worry because I think these things, these emotions, they also have their own subjectivity. So it feels like they visit you to tell you something, to give you information. You're imbalanced here. Do something about this. But the longer we live with them, they also want to stay. And part
Yeah.
of them wanting to stay is certain things that people will say, I've tried everything. And
Mm.
it's like, as long as you're alive, you could not have tried everything. It's not even
Really?
possible to try everything over anything. So even that line, I've tried everything and my depression won't go away. It's not true. I've tried everything, my ADHD won't go away. It's not true. I've any of it. I've tried everything, that man won't listen to me. It is not true. None of us have tried everything. But what it is that we feel stuck, we feel frozen, we don't know what to do next. You know, that's kind of closer to the truth. So, yeah, I'm always happy when people just can find that last bit of I want to be happy. And then I think for the other group of people who make me happy, or I get excited, is people who suspect that they have spiritual gifts or they know they have a spiritual gift, but they don't know how to navigate it. They don't know how to develop it. You know, we don't have those kind of teachers anymore.
Yeah.
And that's exciting for me just because I don't know what's going to come out.
Mm.
And it's a wonderful journey for me to be on with them.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So, in regards to the medicine and everything else and the encounterment of, you know, being with people, what is your aspects to this in regards to how would you say that for their first experience, would what suggestions would you make for them to start to consider doing the session? Would it be like a one-to-one or in a group setting, etc., to get the better outcome
Mm.
for them?
I think each person is different. So I think for like everybody knows the story of their background, and some people know that they're not good in groups. Some people are very empathetic. And so if they're in a group, that part of them that wants to help gets turned on. And then instead of them having their experience, they're moved into helping everybody else, even though they know that's not really why they came. And also, that's not what they paid money for. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. And then other people as well, groups aren't for them because they are so used to holding it together. And that can definitely be for especially a lot of black and brown people. Um, you know, a lot of the time medicine spaces are mostly white if you're in this country. And so if you've been to festivals and stuff, you're used to being one of very few black people. It's an accepting space, but you're also very aware of the eyes.
Mm,
that are looking at you. So sometimes in medicine spaces, and I used to do this, my first couple of mushroom stuff, I went to groups. I was I was so pleased that when I trip, I often don't move very much. Like it was important to me that I would be in these spaces and I would be self-contained because
mm,
also then I wouldn't attract any attention when I will not be fully in my 3D mind. So,
right.
I don't want to be attracting any attention in that way. So sometimes those things can put people off, but sometimes to do medicine in a group of friends or trusted or like-minded people or just strangers who don't know you so you can be free.
Mm.
Also, there's something slightly different. Do you want to turn on a light? You're really dark
Yeah,
where
that's
you
what I
are.
was getting up to do,
All right.
actually. I just didn't want it to make it too obvious.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah. So sometimes in a group, there is a group dynamic that can happen that also adds to the medicine and is really, really, really interesting. We did a call with my brother on Sunday, and if some people were there, one thing we didn't actually talk about was the last time I journeyed with my brother, there was some other people there, and it was spectacular because so there was those three, four, five, six. There were six of us who were there. And it was so, 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 so interesting because three people did not trip in the room.
Wow.
Three people didn't trip at all. Three people tripped. But what Yao told us was um, him and this other girl were like spiritually, their third eyes created like this shape that went around and was healing everybody in the room. And all these different things were happening because we were a group, but it was the group of the specific people who were there. So,
Oh,
yeah, other things can totally, totally happen. Um, I I've done it wasn't a group one, but I sat for somebody who was a healer, that's their job. And it was really interesting. I was getting communication, but I wasn't doing everything the communication was telling me to do. It's so funny because I was a bit like, I'm not, basically the medicine said I had to go over to her and I had to rattle my rattle up and down her body. But because she was lying there with her eyes closed, I didn't want her to suddenly wake up and find me over her. So
mm,
I went and just stood at her feet, and then I was doing it at her feet. Unbeknownst to me, she was getting messages while she was lying there telling her things to do that correlated with what I was being told to do. So
wow.
interesting things can really, really, really happen in a group situation as well. So I think each
Mm,
person just has to decide for themselves. And also money makes a difference because it's less money if it's a group than a one-to-one. So if you feel you really need the medicine, but you can't afford a one-to-one, but you can afford a group, then definitely do a group and just prepare yourself for the group. So if you know
mm,
that you're a bit of a people pleaser and you like to help people, just prepare yourself by saying, I'm going there for my medicine. No matter how
right.
much somebody's crying, it's not my job to go and look after them because that's the guide's job. Like,
Yes, and the
yeah,
facilitators and the
exactly.
facilitators as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Give yourself a talking to. Don't don't do what you always do, for sure.
Yeah. So my you did lead into the question of um from the experience of taking the medicine and
Mhm.
basically facilitating other people, how have you found that it's improved in the sense of when someone is needing your assistance, like how you explained about the lady needing the, rattle to basically, help her through her journey.
Mhm.
Do you find that you're somewhat in tuned as well? Does that develop? that entombment within you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. I think like really, really in the early days until kind of like now, the biggest thing that would happen would be that I always knew if the person would trip. And sometimes I would
Mm.
even know the day before, and my crown chakra would become activated. And it just, for me, it just feels like there's fingers just slightly underneath my scalp, just kind of going like this. And that
Oh,
tells me, okay, this person's going to trip. So, and I think maybe the medicine was doing that also because I am a worrier. And in the early days, I would be kind of hoping you're all sitting there, and I'm kind of like, gosh, I hope they trip because I want them to have the experience. So when that
yeah,
started happening, that was brilliant because that took away that. And
yeah.
then another thing that would happen sometimes is I would receive some kind of a message that would be pertinent to the trip. And it was really interesting. I sat for somebody who had a beautiful, beautiful experience. But early on, before she came, I was preparing the food that she would have after the medicine. And I remember just thinking, this thought just popped into my head. I thought, oh, I wish I had some peas. It would have been nice if there was peas as well. And then this thought came in, said, oh, while she's tripping, you can go out and buy some peas. And I thought, what?
Oh,
Like, I really was like, I would never leave somebody to go to the corner shop. So I thought about it for the rest of the evening and then I wrote it down because I thought, no, that's weird that that should even
really?
come to my head. So I
Such a-
wrote it down. And then while she was under the medicine, when I was preparing the food, I got it again. You could just pop out now. She wouldn't know. So then I thought, okay, this is definitely something meaningful. So I
Mm.
kind of underlined it. And then she had her experience with doing the integration. She's telling me everything. It's got nothing to do with this thing that I'd got. So when we finished everything, I just said to her, okay, I received this information. It was a bit weird about leaving you while you were so vulnerable. Does that mean anything to you? And she just stopped everything she was doing, she just stopped. And she was like, oh my God, that totally, totally makes sense. And it was a missing piece in her relationship with her mum. She was severely abandoned as a baby in a child care system, all of this stuff. And it
Okay.
was a trauma that because she'd done so well, it was a trauma that was kind of like, that doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. And me just relaying that back to her after this beautiful experience just gave her the courage. And she's somebody I still know. And I know that after we had our experience, she went away and she was able to deal with that whole story of abandonment because she realized
Wow.
that, yeah, I need to deal with that. So I'm always
Wow.
like very excited when these things come.
Yeah.
Over the years, especially working with ayahuasca, more things have come. So in that way,
Wow.
ayahuasca is kind of different to mushrooms for me. Since working with ayahuasca, like if somebody's journeying, I'll sometimes get information like go and blow tobacco on them. I had an experience in Ghana where a lady and I hadn't taken any medicine because I'd had Guinness in the afternoon. So in the eve, I'd forgotten basically. Had a client and I had a Guinness, and then at the end of my Guinness, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have a client. So I can't drink any ayahuasca. So that
Yeah.
evening I didn't have any ayahuasca. And then halfway through this woman's experience, and it was really difficult on her body, the medicine just told me her body can't take anymore. You are going to do the rest of the work. And I was thinking, oh wow. And I get excited. I'm thinking, oh wow, this is interesting. And then my
Can you,
stomach started bloating and bloating and bloating. And then suddenly I was completely under the medicine as if I'd taken like 2 cups. I could hardly
Oh,
see. I had to move into the sitting room because I was going to start farting and I didn't want to fart in the room and stink up the place. Luckily, luckily, the medicine, the farts were not stinky and they were not loud, but it was so interesting. And I could feel everything that it was doing to her womb area. And
wow.
she just lay down on the couch. She was just like, I don't think I can do anymore. And I was going, no, it's all right. The medicine had me doing these weird shapes, connecting. It was like connecting the heavens and the earth, things going this way and that way. I don't even know what I was doing. I was just doing what I was led to do, but I was
Right.
so excited. And then just near the end, she goes to me, oh, I saw 2 people. And I was like, oh, are they your guides, your ancestors? She was like, no, they're your guides. And as soon as she said it, I knew that one of my guides was my grandfather. I'd
Wow.
been I'd been feeling this male energy who'd kind of appeared in a few people's trips, but I didn't know it was anything to do with me until
Right.
that day. And then the medicine told me that this would happen to me more often, but for this first time, it was a lot for my body. So I was going to be sick, but it was going to be okay. And then the next day, I had malaria. I
What?
could not, yeah, I had malaria the next day. Fullera had to come with a car and her manager to take me out of the house, to take me to
Whoa.
her house. I couldn't walk the next day.
Whoa.
I could
And
not walk.
and you didn't drink any.
I didn't drink any.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so
Seriously,
I
talk
love it.
about transmutation from
Yeah,
or transference to from, and to
totally,
realize,
totally,
yes, that
totally,
shows you the
totally.
power. Shows you the
Exactly.
power. So if it's
And the
working like that,
entangle
then
and the entanglements, because the thing with that particular woman was the year before, ayahuasca had told me to work with her, but I didn't know her like that. And I just thought, I am not ringing up people now and be saying to them on the phone, ayahuasca says I should work with you and it's X £100. So I just was like, thank you very much, grandmother. You better bring her to me because I'm not about
do that
this.
half work. Do it halfway for me. Do it halfway.
Totally. So it took a year for circumstances, and even her coming to work with me in Ghana was somebody else was supposed to be doing something at a retreat I was doing, and then we couldn't work with that person. Suddenly, this woman was there. She performed the same thing, and we got to work with her. So suddenly, then she was within the orbit. And of course, she knew I was doing ayahuasca, and it just came naturally. So I always say to people, it doesn't matter how big or small the message. If you're not comfortable to action it at that time, do not action it. Do not action
Mm.
it. It will come. Because sometimes I even think when we're shown these things, I'm not even sure that we're being shown them to action. It could be that we're just being shown the future.
Yeah, the
You know?
timeline. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
alignment.
So you don't necessarily, if the medicine says tell your sister should leave her husband, it doesn't mean to phone her in the morning and tell her ayahuasca said leave your husband. Just
Yeah,
have
I
that
mean,
information and look.
the situation will present itself for you to
Exactly.
relay that to the
Yeah, and the
person.
person will do it themselves if it's that important, you
True,
know. Yeah, you
true.
don't need to insert yourself.
So, in regards to now the herbs itself, we have had the experience of the herbs coming to the UK. What
Mm,
about the experience and how does it would differ doing it in Ghana?
mm. So it's weird because it differs only in not in the medicine itself.
Mm,
So wherever it is that you take it, it will work on the intentions you've brought to the medicine. I think where things can be different is like, let's say you've come on retreat to do medicine, you're going to do a lot more work because, firstly, you're eating super good food for the whole week. You're getting vitamin D for the whole week. You're doing your ancestral observances if you want to. There's an altar there. You can partake in altar work if you want to. We're doing different rituals. We're doing soul cleansings. You're going to waterfalls. You're going to the sea. You're going to a lake. You're going to a river. Each of these places, we're going in with reverence. We're teaching each other how to interact with these things in reverence. Even going to, we went to this healing farm. This really good friend of mine who's a herbalist, and he grows all the herbs he uses. For him, it's important not just to use the herbs, but for him to also grow the herbs because he feels some of his spirit is going into those healing herbs. And he always says, like, I have a covenant with these plants to do the work. And everybody felt when we went to that farm, everyone was just like, oh my God, this is so peaceful. This is so if you're doing medicine under those circumstances and then in between stuff you're talking to like-minded people, you're expressing, you know, your problems and finding solutions, of course then the medicine comes in as well. It's going to feel completely different to having it in England where the next day or 2 days later you've got to go back to work. You
In it.
know, there's going to be a difference in that. But
Yeah.
I know that I didn't get to have the medicine anywhere sacred for over 2 years. They still worked
Mm.
for me to help me through the stuff that I was going through in the UK. So I think
Right.
there is a difference, but the medicine will meet you where you are, and it's not going to
Mm.
work any less just because you're here.
Right. That's really good.
Mm,
Now, I know that I would like to open up the ground because I know it's half an hour now that it's going.
mm,
So I would like to know who, if there's any questions that I may not have asked that someone is actually, bursting to ask in their, from their experience or wanting to know certain more things as well. And, the floor is open for anyone who would like to ask any questions regarding this wonderful experience. Is there anyone out there?
mm.
Hi, greetings. Empress.
Greetings. Is that
Greetings.
Amalea?
No, it's Empress Divine.
Oh, wow. Your voice was just like Amalea.
Mm.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
In this space, it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
It's, I think it's come at the right time for me to be seeking questions and answers. And I have a lot of questions in my mind, but what I'd like to ask is, with your experience and knowledge of supporting people and taking these various medicines, do you feel that the medicine is more about bringing you to the awareness of your purpose? And if so, which of the medicines are ideal for that? Or is it that the medicines are just there for, I know everything's about healing, but is the medicines mainly for a specific work to be done in terms of past trauma healings or ancestral healings? I mean, how does that work in terms of what is the best way that the medicines are presented to someone who just knows that they need?
50-year-old Michael has been ambulanced in after collapsing at home. Family are worried and seizure. How are you feeling, Michael?
Someone like to mute themselves?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
think I can do it. Yeah, I've
Okay.
done it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I would say, Empress, it's the medicines will work on the question you bring, but the question, the medicine may not answer the question the way you think. So And if so, let's say, you know, like you were saying about, let's say, your purpose type of thing. If you have a thing about your purpose, what are you here to do? You can bring that to the medicine. If that's the thing that's really at the top of your heart, you can bring that question to the medicine of, I want to know my purpose. Or let's say you're already in what you think is your purpose, but you're not sure. So you might say to the medicine, I want to know if this is the right path for me. And if this isn't the right path for me, please show me what the right path for me is. So you might do a question like that. What the medicine will do is it will clear the reason why you don't know that answer. And that can be anything. So three people can come with that same question. I want to know my purpose. And if what I'm doing isn't my purpose, please show me what my purpose is. Three people, same question, three different answers, because we'll all have different reasons why there is something unsettled in us. So whichever end you bring it, it's always okay, because the medicine will work with you from where you are. And then, like, so in terms of traumas and healing, even with people with gifts, the first thing the medicine always has to do is to remove a lot of the trauma so to get to the gift. Some people, they have their trauma and their gift is there anyway. You know, it's come together. And in that case, they'll be getting both at the same time. They'll be getting some training on their healing or more expression of their healing, of their gifts, while getting healing on their traumas. Some people will have an inkling of their gift, but the trauma is like a lid on top of the gift. And so that really has to be removed first. And what I found is that is done quite quickly when people have gifts. The trauma is removed quite quickly. And I think, so my sense, and I've said this to Angela, my sense is that obviously our traumas feel really massive to us because they've affected our lives. But then you start working with the medicine for a bit, and the way in which it feels like the medicine is brushing away your trauma like a piece of dust. It's like, and then you come out of it and you're like, that thing was huge. And the medicine took like 30 seconds and just went like that, and it was gone. And then it's concentrating. The rest of the trip will be about your mission, the reason why you decided to come to this lifetime, this family, you know, all of this stuff. But that work involved in being fully in your gift is a whole big work, which is why I think the medicine gets rid of your initial traumas so quickly, because the work involved to fully stand in your power, nearly always what comes up is being a full adult. We live in a world where we are all bloody children, not standing in our power. And that's one of the first things the medicine is kind of like pulls you up by the ears and is just like, stop the childishness. You know this, you know that, you know this, you know that. Stop saying you don't know this. Stop saying you don't feel this. Stop making excuses. Be an adult. And practical things like clean your house, get rid of all the plastic some people get, stop eating meat some people get, start eating fish some people get. Whatever it is, like you start getting very concrete instructions about how to come to that divine place, and to do what it is that you've chosen to do. But it makes it all accessible. If the work you have to do is really, really, really hard, then I think you need to speak to somebody, because it can be that you're not fully understanding some of the messages. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Sort of, but your experience with, have you had experience with, I think it's a mushroom called lion's mane?
Yes.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's not a psychedelic.
isn't it?
No,
No.
no. Lion's mane's not a psychedelic, but it is a very healing mushroom, but it's not a psychedelic. So psychedelics will, it's a whole magnitude, order of magnitude, because you're going to get downloads and information. But even saying that, let's say like in the Ghanaian way of looking at plants, if the mushroom and lion's mane is part of your, your interspecies family,
Mhm.
then you could be able to receive profound teachings and learnings and healings from lion's mane, even though it's not considered a classic psychedelic. Well, it's not a psychedelic. It doesn't have DMT,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have any of those properties that would induce a psychedelic trip.
Okay. Well, if I speak to you offline, I think there's a
That's all right. Drop me a WhatsApp.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been apprehensive, I can sense it. It's something that is a brilliant experience. And I can't speak for you, but it will open your eyes though. It will help you to navigate in your life, whatever you are encountering. Yeah, the things that you find in a big issue, just like what AKUA said, you might think it's massive, but it's like a speck. And you'd think to yourself, oh my gosh, what was I worried about that for? You
Mm,
know, things like
mm,
that. So
mm,
just one question I would like to ask, because I'm sure some people may wonder this. The difference between the mushroom and the ayahuasca.
mm.
Some people would be wondering what
Yeah.
makes those two so different.
Yeah. That's the thing is, so for the effects in terms of what they can do for you, I mean, there's a big difference in kind of ingesting them. With ayahuasca, you are more likely to purge, but I make my own ayahuasca and I use an almost 50% capi, 50% chacruna leaves. I do that because there's a guy called Benjamin Mudge. There's loads of interviews with him on YouTube, and he's a friend of mine, and he's a PhD on using ayahuasca for bipolar. So all your scientists and stuff will say you cannot have ayahuasca or magic mushrooms if you have bipolar. It's not true, but you just need to have it with the right person and the right doses and the right kind of medicine. So with ayahuasca, if it's close to 50-50 with no other plants involved, people with bipolar can have it and they won't go into a psychosis or mania, things like that. So I use that brew because I figure if it's good for people with bipolar, then it's going to be even better for everybody else. And that brew doesn't always make you purge. In my experience, only about 15% of people purge with that ayahuasca, but most people will feel a bit queasy and
Yeah.
the taste is horrific. But with mushrooms, how I do it now, which a client was the genius who said, I make a tea. And then she just said, actually, can I put a little bit of salt and pepper in it? And she did it, and oh my God, it's transformed the mushroom tea. Everyone who's had it loves it.
Nice.
Nobody's turning up their nose. Everybody's eating all the mushrooms. So I'm eternally grateful for the lovely person who suggested this little bit of salt and pepper. But I don't make a big cup of mushroom tea. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I boil it down. I start off with a cup and a half of water, 3 to 5 grams of mushrooms, kind of really crushed up dry mushrooms. And then I boil until I've ended up with about half a cup of the liquid. And then a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, Bob's your uncle. And what I'm finding at the moment, interestingly, is people are going under really quickly. I think it's something to do with the planets, but I don't, you know, I'll have to learn a bit more about that. But so I feel like with ayahuasca and mushrooms, regardless of the problem, they will do the job. Where ayahuasca can feel a bit different is it almost feels like it's tackled a wider field of this problem that you brought to it. But there hasn't been any problem I've taken to the mushrooms that hasn't been, you know, solved.
Resolve.
Yeah, so it's that thing of like if money is you know, like you have to think about money, then I would always go with mushrooms because ayahuasca is just more expensive than mushrooms. So I would go with the mushrooms. You can get hold of mushrooms all the time. It's grown in the UK. It grows wild in the autumn. You can pick them yourself. It's easy to microdose mushrooms. I could never say there's a problem that only ayahuasca can get rid of, and mushrooms can't. I'd never point to that. And I've worked with people with bipolar with mushrooms as well, even people on SSRIs. It's always, I always say to people, please tell me all your medication, because it's hardly ever that the answer is no. Mostly it's more to do with the quantity and maybe the preparation. If somebody's on really, really strong meds and they tell me, oh yeah, I'm cutting down, I will probably not believe you. So yeah, and then I will say, okay, then come to Ghana, come and stay with us, eat clean so we can monitor that you really are cutting down your meds, you're having a lot of fruit, just green food, raw food, you're going in the sea. Do you know what I mean? You're getting a
Yeah.
whole way round because we need the medicines from our doctors. We need that support, not just because of what's going on in here, it's also what's going on all around you. And it's hard for somebody to be cutting down their meds if they're thinking about their bills, you know, if they're stuck indoors in the winter, all of this kind of stuff. So for myself, if someone's on a lot of meds, and they say they're cutting down even, I would only ever recommend microdosing so that they can slowly, slowly come to the place. Because also I want people to be safe. You know, I don't want someone to have a heart attack or be running down the street or, you know.
Yeah. So I just looked at the question, and there was one that was saying if it's the retreat in Ghana, if it's open to all.
The retreat in Ghana, so we've got a couple of retreats coming up. So we've got the one September 25th to the 1st of October, which is Journey into Sacred Waters. That's a 7-day one. And that one's open to all. And then we have one in November, which is a 10-day one. And that's going to have Yao Fosu, my brother, and Galactic Clyde is also going to be there, and Tia Sunlight is also going to be there. And that one is looking like it's BIPOC. And I haven't said BIPOC only, but I think it's probably is going to be BIPOC only. So far, I haven't really differentiated, but I have had people inquire where it's important to them. So I was thinking, okay, the September one seems to be kind of self-selecting, and that's a mixed one. And then November one, I think I probably will put a sign on it that says it's BIPOC only. And then we've got one in January with a Kemetic yoga person from America, but he lives in Costa Rica. And I know his one is going to be BIPOC only. So then I think I'm going to do one at the start of April, and that will be an open one. But you can come to Ghana also for one-to-one. which we've had before, or sometimes we've had a small group or a family group and they've come to Ghana and they've had the retreat experience, but not with other people, just either by themselves or just in their own self-selecting small group.
Right. Okay. Someone else mentioned about can the mushroom be used as a medicine similarly? And I'm just like thinking, in what way similar? In a similar way? What do you mean? The person that asked that question, could they elaborate?
Hello. Yeah, so I basically just want to know in terms of like healing with trauma, to be like answer those questions, and would it be in a similar way as you would with ayahuasca, or would it physically feel different in a sense?
Oh, I see.
Okay.
To be honest, every trip feels different. So even with the same medicine. So yeah, every trip is different anyway. And also over the time of you using medicines, the trips change as well. So yeah, there's no kind of, I think like in the early days of using, oh, what does BIPOC mean? Gosh,
Mm.
now what is it? Black, Indigenous people of color, something like that. Yeah, Black and Indigenous people of color. So I just say black, brown, and non-white. Oh yeah, it is Black Indigenous people of color. I'm normally so bad at acronyms.
Funny enough, I was going to ask that question too.
Oh right.
That's all good. Beat me
Gosh,
to
I
it.
feel well trendy. I'm normally the one who doesn't understand anything, so I'm feeling well trendy today.
You know.
That I know what BIPOC is. Oh, sorry, you were asking something and then
I think you were in the mid-sentence of answering the lady's question regarding the mushrooms, and you were saying that each trip varies anyway with the
yeah,
same medicine. So
yeah,
it's basically, I would say, down to your choice. And then
yeah,
it would be about the expense as well, the
yeah,
expenditure, if you think
yeah.
you prefer this one over that one because of the, regarding the expense. So if it doesn't matter to you, then you choose either one, you
Mm,
know?
mm, mm, mm,
So
mm,
yeah,
yeah.
it's basically
Oh,
why.
Doreen's question is good.
What was that one? Sorry.
It says, why is integration important after
After
taking the
taking the
medicine?
medicine.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's so important. I've actually just done a workbook. Um, I was looking over my old notes back in the days when I really, really was very diligent. I'm not as diligent with my integration for myself as I used to be, but I was looking over some of my early notes. And yeah, it just led me the other night to just finish and make an actual workbook. Um, Integration is really important because intention is really important. Intention is what helps us understand what the medicine has shown us. So there are people I know, I've got like a really good friend, and we're constantly arguing. He's a psychotherapist. He doesn't like to go in with intentions. And I keep saying to him, you're still struggling with a lot of the old problems because you're not going in with an intention. You
Right.
don't really understand what the
What's been
medicine's
shown.
showing you. Yeah. So what I find personally is the medicine is so wise and so broad in the field of information that it uses for us. Our intention is our anchor to really be able to interpret what it's shown us. So we go in with to try and be clear about what it is that we don't want in our lives and what it is that we do want in our lives. And if we want something explained, to be sure that it's something we want explained rather than something we want gone. So I was chatting to someone who came to my house just the other day, and he said, because I really, really want to know why I just keep shouting at my wife. And I was saying to him, don't you want to just stop shouting at your wife? And he was like, but don't I need to know why? And I was like, no,
Oh,
because you will know why once you ask the question, I want to stop shouting at my wife. Like,
right.
there is something in us, I think maybe because of therapy, we think if we know why, we will stop. But it's not actually true.
Mm,
Like, um, somebody who beats their children can know that it was not nice when my parents used to beat me. They know they didn't like it. They've got terrible relationships with their mum and dad, and yet they beat their children. So, knowing why, I can tell them, yeah, you beat your kids because you were beaten and you haven't got it out of your system that there's another way. They know
mm,
that, but it doesn't stop them. But when you go to the medicine and you say, I want to stop beating my children, then the story the medicine will give you alongside the healing, sometimes you'll get a story that takes you right to the core of that behavior and the healing. So you come out of it and you just know in your heart, oh my God, I won't hit those kids again, because what I saw was that actually when I get frustrated, I literally turn into my mum. And I
mm,
saw that mother be taken out of me. And she is now a separate person. And actually, me and then the child in me got healed. And now
mm,
I'm an adult and I'm a new adult. I'm not my mum. I know I'll never hit my children again. I am that person. So
mm,
for someone who has that experience, it's gone right to the bottom. When you're going in with just, I want to know why, you could still have that same experience, but you've come out and it's all about, oh my God, and my mum, and now she's out of me, and da 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 da. And a
everything's
bit of
like,
the old past can just still stay there where you reenact because you haven't completely expressed the future self you want to be. And the future self is, I don't want to hit my kids anymore. Take all the stuff of that story away from me. I don't need to
yeah,
know. I don't need it. I want it gone. So that's what
right.
your intentions do. And then your integration, the reason why that's so important is then you can, when we're discussing it, you see now, yeah, I was still stuck in being a kid and being really frustrated. And when I get frustrated, I turned into my mum and then I would hit the children. I feel that my mum's been taken away from me. I'm not going to do that again. So in your integration, you might write down, but if when I feel myself start to get frustrated, I'm going to leave the room. You know you've been healed, but the past ways we've behaved, I feel a bit like they're like these old limbs that don't really have
Mm,
life in them. They are from the past, but they're sort of still hanging on you. Your
yeah,
new behaviors after the medicine is what's going to make them drop off. So your integration list helps them to drop off. So you say, and you put that list somewhere you're going to see it every day, which is when young Tommy gets me frustrated, I leave the room. And you see that every day. After a while, what will happen is you will be able to stop yourself before it even happens. Because we all know our children, we know how it starts.
mm,
We know how our mood starts. You've had a hard day, you walk into the house and their shoes are in front of the stairs, and you've told them, put your shoes in the cupboard.
get it.
So you can already feel yourself rising. When you've spent days looking at, when I get frustrated, I will leave the room. You can, in that moment, okay, I'm building up to getting angry. Do you know what? I'm going to move those shoes. You do
Mm,
something else to let that feeling rise in you and just go away. It
yeah,
might just
diffuse
be
it.
that you do have to leave the house even before you meet them. But that's what the medicine and your integration list does. It gives you space to really become the new person that the medicine has helped you to be. So that's why for me, integration is so important, looking at your integration list, revisiting the things that you took to the medicine, because this healing is like the peeling of an onion. It can be like a one and done, but our traumas didn't happen in a day. So
Yeah.
you just work on it and see what other things come up, and you can take it to the medicine again, or you can take it to tapping, or you can take it to meditation. You can bring in other modalities that can help you to be the person you really want to be.
So in regards to the medicine itself, would we think of it as being like a feminine energy or male energy?
So that's such a good question. So I know the Shipibo people, who are the tribe that lots of us have heard of in regards to ayahuasca, they call it grandmother. But this year at Breaking Convention, I learned that not all tribes call her grandmother. Some tribes call her uncle. They feel it as a male presence. So it's been interesting. So since I learned that, I've been really observing for myself, and I have got to say, I'm not sure in my own understanding if I'm actually feeling a gender. Like, since I had that information and I've been really looking for myself, when I've used ayahuasca, I can't say I've felt a gender. With mushrooms, I've never felt a gender with mushrooms. I've always called them
Mm,
like the little helpers. They have never felt like male or female.
mm,
So it's interesting. But I would say with Iboga, it did feel like a grandfather. But
mm,
even that, I wonder if I felt it was a grandfather because I'd heard it was a masculine energy.
energy.
Yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, I personally now I will say I don't know. Um,
mm.
yeah, the genders of, you know, of the medicines.
Would it be determined because in that way because like with the mushrooms and the ayahuasca that it's telling the story, which is what a feminine style probably does, when having a discussion. And with the male one, it's more direct where it's like, okay, so you're having this problem, let's get to it. And then that's your issue. Get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah?
I don't know. I don't know because yeah, I don't know. I was really, really, until I saw the lecture, I was really, really grandmother ayahuasca, grandmother ayahuasca. But after the
Um,
lecture, when I started really looking at it, I don't know. I'm not
mm,
feeling male
either.
or female. Also,
Yeah.
I'm very aware that male and female are so culturally based. They're
Mm,
so culturally based that I'm not really sure it's possible to have an objective feeling of what is feminine because I mean
a
I've
bit
never met
softer,
any. This
you
is
know.
what we say, but then if I look
Oh,
at the lives of a lot of women, though, do you know
yeah.
what I mean? I mean, yes, there's nurturing because, of course, you're breastfeeding, so only one gender can do, the breastfeeding. But I'm also kind of aware that I remember when I first went to Ghana as an adult. I grew up for a little bit in Ghana. Between the ages of 6 and 9, I was in Ghana. And then we came back to England. Then I went back to Ghana when I was around 23, 24. But I remember being so kind of shocked at how confident women were
Mm,
compared to women I'd always known in the UK. And it
mhm,
really kind of fucked with my head a bit because in the UK, growing up in the 70s and 80s, I was kind of told that, African women were kind of bowing to their men and kind of, can't
mhm,
feed them enough. And then I go back to Ghana, and what I found was, yes, there was a very public kind of putting the food on the table for the man. There was all of that stuff. But there was a level of confidence that the women had that was not something I was used to seeing in the UK. And that really surprised me. And when I came back to the UK, I was telling everyone that, yeah, it just, yeah, I had to kind of think about things a little bit differently because I could see that a lot of the women there were carrying their confidence was something that was rising from within them. And it wasn't to do with what they did or didn't do for their partners. So they could still go home, cook the dinner, put the dinner in front of him, and still have a major confidence. Like that act didn't diminish them. Whereas I grew up in a time where it was like to be a feminist was to not to do for men.
Wow.
It was, and to look, so a lot of stuff really, really was interesting. And then I also found when I went to Ghana for the first time as an adult, I could not believe how vulnerable these men would be with their conversations about heartbreak. It was something I'd never seen in the UK, like two men talking on a public bus, not keeping their voice down, saying, "Oh my God, what she did to me. I was crying for a week." And then the other guy's going, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Women can be like that." And he's like, "I can't believe it. She left me for another man." I'm thinking, nobody in London, two men in London are not going to be having that conversation loudly. So there was, yeah. So when it comes to fixed ideas about what is feminine and what is masculine, I'm very, very, I don't know if they're universal. I think they're cultural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly can be that process as well. Maybe it's from the descriptions of other people. They've been influenced from the statements as such. Well, I must say that it's been a wonderful evening, and hearing you and giving your experience of life journey in regards to the psychedelic, etc. And thank you to all who has attended this meeting, as in the podcast, etc. And I hope they really did enjoy. And I hope I may have asked certain questions as well that obviously prompt a lot of, mystery to it, as well as wanting to do something for themselves as well. So thank you so much for attending. It was wonderful in the experience of AKUA.
Thank you. And
Yes.
please take my number. Yeah, just send me a message, whether it's medicine or you want to know about our retreats, or if you want to come to African Spiritual Practices as well on Saturday in Brixton from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. Just drop me a message and I'll send you the details. But thank you so much, Angela. I am so pleased that whatever it was, inspiration just said, ask Angela, and you actually said yes. I wasn't expecting you to say yes at all. So thank you. Really, really, really good.
Thank you very much. So it's like
Thank
the
you.
stepping ground, yes. Well, we say a good evening to everyone, or good night, and do
Yes,
have a pleasant time. All the best.
fantastic.
Thank you,
Thank you, my
ladies. See
love.
ya. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that was lovely. I can't
Can we have
wait
a
to
talk
see you,
afterwards,
Angela.
Bethany? Can we have a
Pardon?
talk afterwards? Can we have a
Yes,
talk afterwards?
yes,
Okay.
definitely. Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. Okay, I'll close the meeting now. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much, everyone. Please do
Thank
take my
you.
number and please do get in touch. And yeah, I'm so pleased. Thank you. See you.
Bye.